check in on the Patriots, since we do have 50% of the table here are former Patriots. They not only have a new head coach for the first time in over 2 decades, they also have the 3rd overall pick. So that's the highest pick they've had since '93 when they selected Drew Bledsoe first overall.
Go Cougs!
So how should the Patriots approach the combine and free agency with so much transition going on? Brian, I'll start with you here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a new regime, right? First and foremost, I'm excited about Gerard Mayo. Having played with Gerard, having seen him, grow as a coach, excited for his opportunity. I don't think there was probably a better fit to, have someone come in after Bill than Gerard. He knows the culture, he played in it, and he's been there for the past few years. Look, there's a lot of different things that they can go. I think obviously the number one question is always going to be with the quarterback. I'm going to stick up for my guy Mac. I know that he's kind of got a raw deal the past few years. So, with that 3rd pick, they have an option. What do you want to do? Do you want to, you're in line for one of the top 3 guys, but also, being a quarterback guy myself and looking at a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, you pair him up. I know what Mac's capable of. I witnessed it his rookie year, and I don't know if there's been a receiver that's come out in recent times that's more prepared. Obviously, he has the DNA, and then he's gone out here and proven it. I don't watch a ton of college football, but when I watch and see Ohio State and the things that he does, I mean, it seems to be like a bigger, faster version of his dad, which, you take that any day.
Yeah, 18 jumps off the film whenever you're watching Ohio State and you see him out there. As I look at the Patriots situation, you said it, you have the number 3 pick of the draft. You've got to go all the way back to '93 when they had a pick that high and they selected a quarterback. I think when you have a pick that high and there's question marks at your quarterback position, you have to look at that and really assess and try to figure out what's what. And you mentioned Mac Jones, and I look at it the same way you did. Comes in his rookie year, takes his team to the playoffs, ends up making it to the Pro Bowl as an alternate, and has an outstanding year where they're comparing to him, all right, we just lost Brady, maybe this guy is the next coming. And then there's coaching change above him, McDaniels leaves, and they're trying to figure out, there's Matt Patricia, there's Joe Judge, and then Bill O'Brien comes in the very next year. In 3 years, the guy's gone through 3 different offensive coordinators, different guys in his ear. I liken it to the thought of you get into a new relationship and it starts out hot and everything seems like it's going to be perfect. Outside circumstances, adversity, different things hit, and it forces different characteristics and different traits out of the person that you're with. Sometimes a relationship gets to a point where, yes, both people are in better places and you're ready to move on, but you just can't forget or unsee or unhear the things that have happened in the past, and it might be time to mutually part ways. So I think for New England, they have to take a long look at that. From everything that's transpired, is it all Mac Jones' fault? Hell no. We've all watched it from the outside and know that it's not all his fault, and we've seen some success from him early on, but can they just move forward with him at quarterback? And to your point, there's a lot of deficiencies on that roster, wide receiver being one of them, but do they feel as though Mac is the guy that's going to lead us into the future when right now they have an opportunity with a number 3 pick to possibly get a guy, if they fall in love with one of these quarterbacks, that you say, you know what, this is our franchise guy that we think can take us for the next 15 years, especially getting a new head coach in Gerard Mayo?
Yeah, franchise quarterbacks, the reason why the New England Patriots have all the Super Bowl trophies. They got them in the 6th round, but they had a franchise quarterback for as long as they did. In the eyes of most people, they don't have that right now. And then when you have the 3rd overall pick and there are what people consider generational talent at the top, you want to go and get that guy. I am of the mindset, pretty much like Brian here, around as a quarterback, you want that skilled position player. They have never truly had a wide receiver 1, I feel. Randy Moss, of course, being it. When Tom Brady really was able to bring along the likes of Julio and Edelman, became so great, and Amendola and Wes Welker, all those guys. But not, I mean, if you looked at it as a wide receiver 1, you don't see that guy. You don't see a Neighbors. You don't see a Marvin Harrison Jr. possibly, a Roma Dunze that could be that guy all year long for whatever quarterback's in that place. So I think that should be the top priority for him. I want to stick with Mac Jones. I don't know if it's going to be able to be done simply because of everything that has transpired. You can't unsee it, can't unhear it. You can't have the talk radio, the benchings, all of the things that existed in a vacuum. It just doesn't happen that way. And so, unfortunately, I'd love to see the guy get another opportunity, especially with the skill position player that you could grab at number 3 in the NFL draft with the wide receiver crew that they got out there right now.
Do you think Mac Jones is calling into WEEI in New England? Like, you think maybe that's happening right now? I don't envy Gerard Mayo. at all right now. I think that he is in such a position where you're just filling such big shoes. Like, he played under Belichick, he coached under Belichick, he learned and he grew with Belichick, but replacing Belichick without a clear-cut quarterback right now is a tough position to be in, with a lot of holes on the roster as well. So at this point, the main focus has to be quarterback, obviously. With the 3rd overall pick, there's a ton of really good, high-rated quarterbacks in this draft. And even if you don't want to play a rookie early on, at least get him in there so he can get used to the system and the way that they do things there. I mean, I think the approach should be find your quarterback, support your quarterback, and then support your quarterback more. Because if they want to make this transition special for him, if they want it to work, they need to build everything around him.
I want to ask you guys a question. A guy like Mac Jones, could they draft a quarterback and keep Mac there as a backup? Do you think he could strive and be successful, even want to be in that role after what's gone through his early years here in New England?
I mean, when you're a starting quarterback, it's a big reason why I, frankly, chose to quit or retire. I was a starting quarterback in my mind. I couldn't be a I couldn't. My pride wouldn't let it happen. I wish I could have. Clearly, Brian's had an unbelievable career and is going to play probably for 15, 18 years and make $100 million. Who knows, right? It's a mindset. I do think Mac has that mindset where he could be a backup quarterback. He sat behind Tua. He sat behind Jalen. And then when he got the opportunity, he won himself a national championship. So I do think he could do that. I thought he was a good teammate this year when he did get benched. When Bailey Zappi got I had a chance to talk to him before the game against Pittsburgh. I thought he was in a good place, but that's always an interesting concept from a starting quarterback. Will your pride allow you to take a seat and be the backup quarterback? Because you can have a long career and be very successful and get paid to play football.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I know him. Mac's a great kid. I think, like you mentioned, did a good job this year, with the ups and downs of the year. Maybe if you're going that route, then you bring in somebody who is an older veteran who can be a mentor. I mean, Mac's still young, and let's be honest, other than his rookie year, he hasn't had the greatest, feelings about how the last 2 years have gone. So, maybe it's better for him to go somewhere else and do that role if that's what they want to do. But in the same sense, just having the opportunity to be on a team and compete. Obviously, he proved that at Alabama. And in an era of college transfers, the one thing I always admired about Mac was he bided his time at Alabama, and when it was his time, he showed up and won a national championship. And so, not everybody would do that, and he did. And he's a tough kid, and I think he just wants to get back to that, type of playing that he had his rookie year.
Mac's been through a lot, like with the coordinator changes and Zappi coming in. Zappi hour just kept happening last year, and it was like, I can't get the image of Bill O'Brien screaming at Mac Jones in the international game when he was, right before he was benched. And I just felt for Mac in that moment that it would just seem like everything was going wrong for not only him, but the Patriots too. And it just feels like he hasn't gotten a fair shake yet with that situation. But Peter, I don't know, what do you think about the Patriots' approach? How should they really line up this offseason?
The NFL is a tough business. You get 3 years, and it either happens or it doesn't in a lot of cases. I hate to be so insensitive to Mac. It's new blood, though, right? So, yes, Gerard Mayo's been there, but it's now his team. I would say even as significant as Gerard Mayo taking over as head coach, Belichick's not doing this draft. He's gone. Bill is gone. And it is now Elliott Wolf and Pat Stewart and a new front office group that has been there, but are going to take the reins and are going to do things their way. So the allegiance to Mac Jones, do we give him a 4th year? Do we give him then a 5th year, an opportunity? You don't get the 3rd overall pick too often. I'm fascinated to see what this front office does, because it's not just the coaching staff, which is going to be very different and has new blood with Gerard Mayo as the head coach, of course, but also with Ben McAdoo playing a bigger role on the offensive side of the ball, but also the front office. I'm looking at Elliott Wolf, who's Ron Wolf's son and has been in this league for a long time. He's with the Packers for many years and is now with the Patriots. And Pat Stewart, who's jumped around from the Eagles and other teams and from Carolina to now New England. New blood. I think this is going going to be a very interesting offseason for the Patriots. And if we're looking at the Mayo press conference as anything, we might have a very different feeling around Foxborough. As Steve Belichick said when they showed his office on the Chris and Kyle Long podcast, the Greenlight pod, he said, look at this window. I've got this giant window. And someone, whether it was Chris or Kyle, said, yeah, there are no windows in Foxborough. Maybe things are changing as a whole in that whole entire building. And I don't know if Mac Jones is the guy for the future. And I would think the number 3 overall pick, they'd think long and hard about drafting a quarterback to start anew with.